What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Loud Spot. I'm your host, Sebastian, right out of Oklahoma City. I got my co-host with me, Ava Gore, all the way from Austin. Hey, Ava. It's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Yes.
And we got Jayden, Creighton, all the way from Australia, and it is 8 p.m. here, but it is, 1 p.m. over there?
Yeah, 1 p.m. spot on. 1:07.
He is with Duckpond.
And summertime?
What? Is it always summertime?
Yeah, but we've been getting a lot of wet weather lately. It's a weird summer for us.
All right.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. Here we go.
Oh, no! Oh, boy! Ah, here it comes! The motherfucking Loud Spot!
All right. So it's weird weather in Australia. What does that mean?
So Australia, I mean, it could be like 4 seasons in a day here. We get, obviously Australia is pretty known for its sort of hotter months and beach weather and whatnot, but it's been like monsoon weather lately. We had the hottest day ever, I think 2 days ago, and then in the afternoon we got the blackest clouds roll over. And I work at a card yard. We had to actually move cars around just because we thought it was going to hail on us, and it's just weird that literally between an hour it was a different day. So
does it snow over there? It doesn't snow, does it?
In the summer.
There's a couple of places it does, not where I'm from. You got to drive like sort of, I don't know, 10 to 12 hours to get snow. So
Isn't it crazy how people perceive things like differently? Like, people think of California, they think it's always like warm, but really Northern California, it's typically cold, and San Francisco's like always cold pretty much year round. Mm-hmm. But anyways, Duckpond Productions. Okay. So tell us about Duckpond Productions, man.
Yeah, so Duckpond's my own little creation, I guess. I'm responsible for it. I started at film school a few years ago. I graduated in 2015, and I don't know, anyone that's been to film school probably knows it's a bit hard to find work after film school. So, I kind of looked to some of the directors of movies that I like who didn't go to film school. They just kind of done it on their own whim and made their own stuff. And that's what I wanted to do. I didn't really want to, get a job making coffee for somebody. I wanted to just go out and write and direct and edit. So that's what I ended up doing. It sort of, we put it under a moniker, which was Duckpond Productions. It just sounded catchier than Jayden Creighton, I suppose. And we just got into it from there.
Okay. Go ahead, Ava.
What made you want to go to film school in the first place?
It was a good way for me to sort of structure my learning, I guess. I mean, these days you can find anything you want on YouTube, and I do. Like, I learn most of my stuff on the fly, to be honest. I've certainly learned more being out of film school than what I ever did in film school. But to me, it sort of gave me a way to sort of, roll out of bed and structure my learning and actually learn the foundations, I guess, which is super important before you take that leap.
Right.
So,
was there like a certain film that you had seen that just like really inspired you?
There's been quite a few. I mean, I'm certainly lean towards sort of horror films, which is kind of what I grew up on, and I don't know, popcorn flicks, I guess. I like those movies that when I was in high school, me and my friends used to, get drunk, sit around and watch horror movies. So like, I thought it'd be cool to be that guy that kind of ushers in the new generation of sleepover flicks, So,
I would think that after film school, the market has to be saturated with people that have gone to film school and trying to find jobs. So I bet most people probably start their own companies, right? Like once they graduate, they kind of do their own thing.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I know quite a few people sort of, I do most of my work sort of in Brisbane, even though I live 3 hours sort of south of there. But I know pretty much most people that are in that industry have their own sort of production company, I suppose. But they certainly lean towards different areas. I know some guys that only make comedy films, and I'm probably the horror guy, I suppose. So it's interesting, where people sort of point their interest towards.
And are all your movies, because the name Duckpond Productions, you wouldn't associate that with horror films necessarily, right? You think, oh, Duckpond Productions, my kid could watch something like that, And then you look at your films, and it's like, oh, well, are they all horror films?
No, we did a web series, which was probably before the horror, actually. there's the Riot Guy, which was almost a cross between like The Departed and Batman. So it was like a vigilante crime drama, I think. So we do sort of branch out, we try new things. And I think the big draw card for me about horror is you can sort of roll a bunch of different genres in it. You know, there's certainly comedic elements in some of the characters or the lines they deliver. There's definitely action scenes, you know, you have your kind of your third act fight scene and things like that. So you know, you get to play around, you get to experiment more than what you would in say like a rom-com. And you know, I think that's what sort of draws me to it. But Duckpond actually started, I was doing a little bit of freelance work, and I wanted something that sounded kind of fluffy enough to do weddings. So also maybe not so fluffy we couldn't do films. So kind of found a happy medium.
I love it.
You write the story, like do you write the lines and everyone's parts for the movies and things like that?
Yeah, so I write the scripts. I also produce it and sort of cast it and get everybody together. And then I direct it, and then I edit it, and I color grade it. I do a lot of sort of behind the scenes work, I suppose.
How hard is it? Because like I couldn't write a movie, dude. Like if I wrote something, it'd be like a minute long, and like
because you have the attention span of a goldfish.
Because what? It was,
so you had the attention span of a goldfish.
Yeah, well, she's not lying. But I literally don't think that I could sit there and write like a whole like. What's your writing process? Do you come up with like just an idea at first, right? And then do you like a beginning, middle, end, and then kind of fill it all in?
It's sort of, in your head. Yeah, well, I definitely I mentally process it for a long time before I sort of put you know, pen and paper or a computer, but you know what I mean. I guess, I don't know, a lot of writers I know, like a good piece of advice is just to get it out, like just to get those 90 pages or whatever out is the hardest part, a lot of people say. So they'll just regurgitate it onto it just so that their idea is there, and then they'll go through and sort of make tweaks. And I don't really work like that. I don't know if I'm just a bit OCD, but I'll go through and like I think Trespassers, which is my feature film that we'll be doing in September, I think it still has first draft written on the title page, but it's gone through multiple iterations just while I was writing it. It just, first draft is the first one that actually had all of the pages together. So, but that's probably what we'll end up shooting with. So I guess my process is a little bit different.
What's the 90 pages? Is that like something in the industry? Like, you know, what you said 90 pages. Is that like the hardest part to come up with? Is the first 90 pages, or is like the whole thing's 90 pages, or what?
So a typical script, I think, is about a minute per screen time. So if you've got 90 pages of script, you've got like an hour and a half worth of movie. So yeah, so 90 pages is a feature film, I suppose. You know, anything shorter than that would probably be just a short film. But
dang, dude. And how do you come up with your ideas for? I know you liked horror movies and things like that, but you know, we're going to play the trailer for the Cleanup Crew, which the trailer is freaking awesome, man. You know, I got some questions about the trailer. I love the part. You know, we should just play it right now, actually, because I got some questions about this. So hold on 1 second.
Sure.
Hey, when does this? Is this a full length movie or a short movie?
So this one's a short film. So we basically done 3 short films back to back that were all kind of in that horror thriller market, but we kind of wanted to change our style along the way. So we originally done Trespassers, and then we dropped a follow-up called Kinks, and both of those done really well on sort of YouTube and got us a bit of traction. Our next one is the Cleanup Crew, which is going to be a 16-minute film. So we are kind of stepping up in length as we go, and then following that, we're going to do our first feature film, which is where we go back to Trespassers and basically expand that narrative. So
nice, man.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a long game. It's not released yet. We're still in COVID, kind of slowed us down because a lot of my team is sort of based, you know, sort of 3 hours north, and we couldn't get in and get the actors to sort of do ADR, or which is like redubbing their dialogue if it turns out, you know, bad, which it does quite often on sort of independent films. So just getting everybody back together was a real struggle just when everything was on lockdown. So, that pushed it back. Sort of around next month, we're sort of going to have something pretty ready to show people. So
that's awesome. Let's play the Cleanup Crew, and then I got many questions to ask. At least a couple. Here we go.
Yeah, hit me.
So, first date. You nervous?
Should I be?
Triple homicide. Mum, Dad, teenage daughter.
Well, now I'm in the mood for Mexican food.
What started as an ordinary job
Kinsey! Cal!
soon became anything but ordinary. This biohazard remediation team has a problem. How do they clean up a crime scene that the killer never left? From the visionary director behind Trespassers and Kinks comes a whole new experience in terror. They can't run. They can't hide. The only way out is to die. The Cleanup Crew. Rated R.
Okay, dude. All right. So, look, man, I showed that to my wife, and she was like, "That looks pretty legit." I was like, "Yeah, it's legit. Like it looks good." You know the line where the guy says, "Well, now I'm in the mood for Mexican food." Like, did you write that part yourself, or was that ad-libbed by the actor?
No, we wrote that. The actor that I worked with on that, he done Trespassers with me, and Trespassers is such a different tone because it's quite it doesn't really have a camp element like the Cleanup Crew does. It's very kind of serious. It's very kind of 70s exploitation style, I think, was its big influence. And it's very in that kind of, we spoke about the hot weather before. It's very rooted in that Australian, that searing sort of landscape. So he's all hot and bothered and flustered. And I really wanted to work with him again, but in a different sort of dynamic. So I was like, you're going to play like the Ryan Reynolds sort of character or the Chris Pratt sort of character, like the real kind of comic relief.
Uh-huh.
We wrote some dialogue and he played around with it and he killed it. There's so many, when I was editing, just looking at it and just laughing at just the stupid shit he was getting up to. So
you gotta it's almost like you have to have some kind of comedic aspect in a horror film. Yeah, it kind of goes with it, makes it lighten the mood a little bit, and it's funny,
Yeah.
I'm really picky when it comes to horror films, and sometimes if there's too much humor, it becomes cheesy. And I just wanted to ask you if you ever worry about being too cheesy, or if you just love having fun with it. Not that the trailer was cheesy. Love the trailer, but just in general.
I think it really depends on what story you're trying to tell and what makes sense. Like, I think if you establish your universe early on in the film, then anything goes. Like, you can make like I said, Trespassers is quite serious, and we didn't really put too many comedic elements in it because the story really didn't call for it. When we got into Kinks, though, Kinks is more like an art film. It's got like a lot of neon lights and this bright, vibrant cinematography, and the actors kind of have a little bit more room to kind of hem it up and play with it a little bit more because they're so over the top. You know what I mean? It's not really rooted in reality. It's more like a graphic novel, I guess. And then the Cleanup Crew is very kind of like 80s slasher inspired, so it needed that kind of camp factor. And to me, that kind of made sense just to put that in there. And we dropped that trailer on Friday the 13th, and it just made sense to do a Friday the 13th style trailer for it. I think, look, as long as you're establishing early on what sort of movie you're trying to tell, I think it's fine. If you're telling people that you want to make a comedic horror, just go for it and do what sort of makes sense. But it just pisses me off when you start with an ultra serious movie and then suddenly they bring in comedic effects. Set your rules early on, and anything will fly for me. So. See,
I feel like you're actually allowed to critique a movie since you do movies. Like, you're allowed. Like, my input doesn't fucking matter. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't make them. But someone who creates them, do you ever like watch a movie and think I would have done that differently, or hey, they did a really good job there with that? Like, when you watch a movie, do you think about those things?
Yeah, definitely. It's probably burnt a few of my relationships, to be honest, because like film school, they say your girlfriend's gonna hate you and whatnot. So thankfully, my girlfriend's like a massive movie buff herself, so she's on board. But I'm very kind of nitpicky, and there's things about films that I love and things about them that I hate or that I would do differently. And yeah, it's certainly a big conversation point in my household.
How did you get the guy that did the voice the voiceover that trailer.
They can't.
Is that someone who does?
Yes.
They can't run. They can't hide.
So I actually found him on Fiverr. Paid
Cool.
him. Yeah, so I kind of wrote like a little script over it. Like I said, I wanted it to be very kind of rooted in that 80s camp style. And I think this guy, I don't know if it was just like a mock-up that he done, but he had some work on Fiverr where he done like the Conjuring voiceover. So I was like, oh, this guy'd be perfect. And we really wanted to, I don't know if you've seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but obviously that opening narration sort of was what we're going for there. So he just had a really.
He doesn't sound Australian. He sounds American. He sounds American.
Yeah, definitely.
Great observation.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think like even though it's an Australian film, I think tonally it just kind of works.
Yeah.
It's like an 80s American slasher.
That's what I got from it. There's an American voice over an Australian film. I don't know. That's my critique. That's not even a critique. That's just an observation. Like,
yeah, no, that's fair. I think if I put an Australian over there, Americans might not be able to understand him, so we might run it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna make a joke that I need an interpreter because I don't speak Australian, but I said it now, but I wanted to say it earlier. Okay, how many times do you catch yourself? Because when you're writing a film, right? You're writing the whole story from beginning to end. How many times do you go back and like take stuff out and rewrite lines? Is that pretty or maybe the whole character changed almost halfway through? Like, is that happening? You have to rewrite the whole lines of the character?
I read my dialogue back to myself a lot when I'm writing, so I try and make it as organic as possible. I do go through and like if I add something to the story later on that ties with that part earlier on, then I might go back and sort of revisit and make it fit a little bit more. There's a line in Trespassers where, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, the brother doesn't make it, but at the start he has a line about how he hates long waits and he's happy to die first, and then later on we revisit that sort of aspect. So we certainly go back and try and kind of tie up loose ends and bits and just make it fit more tonally. A lot changes on site as well. Like we have actors that come in and it's not falling out of their mouths the way that they think it could, so they might tweak it a little bit. We're certainly open to that. At the end of the day, we want it to feel, even if it's a extraordinary film, we still want the performances to feel very kind of grounded in that world. So if they're stumbling over their dialogue, it needs to, be changed probably at the end of the day.
So you give the actors a little bit of free will as far as their lines go. And I guess maybe did they ever ad lib sometimes and it works out perfect?
Yeah. In Trespassers, again, we ended up using his name's Andy Spahn, and he plays the bad guy Jack. One of his lines was totally ad-libbed, which was "You should have stayed at home," and then he drops like a trap door on her, basically, and that made it into the trailer, and then we ended up using it as the tagline in the film. So if it gels and it works, we're certainly not going to cut it out. I'm not that precious with my own writing that I can't take good suggestions.
How do you find your actors? Not only how do you find them, but I would assume that you're working on a minimal budget, so to speak, right? You have to pay these actors also. Do you pay them up front? Do you pay them afterwards? And how do you find them to do this for you?
I'm actually very fortunate in that my actors come on board more for the experience and just the end product. So I find actors that are very good at what they do, but haven't necessarily had that chance to put what they have on screen. So for them, it's a really good opportunity to take that to a casting agent or whoever and get some work later on, is what I try and offer.
The mind of an entrepreneur right there, man.
It sounds very
I'm going to do it for free, but in exchange, they get the experience. I mean, so it really does work out. But I mean, that's totally if I can find people to do shit for me for free all the time. I don't pay Ava, so there you go.
I mean, it is
experience or exposure is like a poison word in the film industry. But I think at the end of the day, the idea is that if we ever do get budget for these films, then I would use these actors in a heartbeat.
Sure.
We're all sort of trying to climb that ladder together and trying to get where we want to be in our careers. And if we can help each other out along the way, then hopefully it's going to be mutually beneficial for everybody. So
do you ever sit there behind the camera and go, cut, you fucked up, man. You fucked up. You're out of here. You ever do that?
you got no money, man. If you start, be having like David Fincher and you're not paying people, they'll walk on you. So, you have to be very kind of careful with your words.
I guess we're not paying them. You gotta be nice, huh?
Shells around the scene. I'm like, hey man, that was so good, but you can maybe do it like a little bit better.
Listen, you piece of shit. Do a better job.
Which part of the whole process would you say is the most fun for you?
It varies. I mean, they're fun in different ways. I really I like writing because I'm not spending money while I write. I can just lock myself in a room and I'm creating, which is at the end of the day what I want to do. I want to tell stories. When it gets to the directing stage, it takes a whole new level, and that's probably the part that I prefer because it becomes more tangible, I suppose. I'm watching my story play out in front of my eyes, and seeing the actors come in and put their spin on their dialogue, which obviously takes it to a whole new dimension as well. And then the editing part I really like because you really kind of just you're sanding it down and making it way more refined. Once that music comes in and the sound design, you really watch your scenes pop, and that's really exciting to me as well. So just, cool. I like them all. Directing is probably what I'm leaning towards, I suppose, in terms of my favorite part. But, I really enjoy writing and editing as well. So
how long does it take to from writing to filming to editing it and putting out a final product? I guess the time frames would probably be different depending on how long the film is, right? But on average, you have a specific time frame that you kind of try to follow.
I would. Obviously, it's really hard with COVID at the moment. So COVID affected King's and cleanup crew in both the same way. Just the big part, once it's finished, I like my edit pretty quickly after we do it. So I might finish the edit or at least have a rough cut sort of a month or two after we shoot it. But then from there, getting the actors back in the studio to do the ADR and then they start the sound design process and the music, that can sort of take months to finish. It sort of really depends on the project. Generally, if I get it done inside of a year, because, I'm not paying people a lot. They're doing it in their free time as well. So it's not like I have no precedence for them. So inside of a year is probably a good ETA for me.
Good deal, man. And are you ever in? And by the way, you're only 27, 29, something like that.
29, yeah.
that is so cool to be doing this, at under 30 and knocking stuff out like this, man. Are you ever in your own films? Do you ever have a line for yourself or no?
No, I did one in. I did a little bit of acting in film school. I tried to do everything in film school, man, because I didn't want to get behind the camera, try and tell somebody to do something that wasn't possible. So at least now I sort of know how hard it is in every sort of area, whether I'm good at it or not. So I did dabble in just trying to do a little bit of acting back in film school, but I was very bad at it, and it's never seen the light of day. So. No.
Well, when I was screaming into the mic earlier, I was really auditioning for your next movie.
Oh, we'll find something.
I'm just kidding.
You never want to get hired, ever.
Don't hire me. You know what? I'll do it for free. You just gotta fly me to Australia. That's all it is,
Yeah, right. Well,
fly me to Australia. I'm in it, man.
You said you're moving in the next 5 years. We
maybe. I would love to move to Australia. I think it'd be
Australia
so cool.
Doesn't want you.
What?
Said Australia doesn't want you.
Well, yes, they do. Everywhere wants me. Everywhere wants me to be in there. So, man, dude. So, when is the cleanup crew officially? Do you have a set date for that to come out?
Not yet. I'm really hoping it's probably around April.
Okay. Oh, so it's a couple months away.
Yeah, what we're pushing for is we want to do just a screening for the cast and crew, and then we'll probably go public with it after that. It's a bit of a different climate at the moment. Again, I keep mentioning COVID, but it really has kind of just made everything so different. Trespassers was finished a year before it was released because it took its time to go through all the film festivals, which most film festivals want premiere status. They want to be the first one to screen it, and if it's online beforehand, you'll get disqualified. with Kinks, because they kind of shut down all the festivals and nobody was going to them, we were like, oh, well, look, we had a lot of success online with Trespassers. Let's just try and piggyback that, let's put it online and then we'll submit to a handful of festivals. And if they want us, sure, they can have it. If not, at least we've still got an audience. And I think it's a bit weird at the moment because things are starting to open back up, but it's not quite there yet. So we'll probably go down a similar avenue for the Cleanup Crew as what we did with Kinks, and just sort of hope that we have enough sort of built-in audience to make it grow.
So I mean, you have the trailer for the Cleanup Crew, which that's what we played earlier, right? I mean, but looking at the trailer, I would just assume that most of the movie's pretty much done. I mean, because how you make a trailer, right? You just pick parts of the movie you want to put into a trailer and make it. Is that not the case? Is it not really all the way done yet?
It's all edited, and the music has been composed, which is great. He fully over-delivered. I expected some sort of campy B track, and he went really hard at it. He went really orchestral, so it sounds great. From there, it's just sound design now. So we've re-recorded the dialogue because they were wearing masks. Was the hardest bit. A lot of it was sort of inaudible, so we had to get the actors back in, re-record all of that.
Yeah,
that's obviously going to be dropped in, and then they tweak everything up from the sound of footprints to clothing movement to everything sort of has to be recorded and put in and then mixed properly so it sounds good. So it's definitely a long-winded process, and that's where we're up to at the moment, is just getting it to sound really, really crisp. Because I think with a horror film in particular, I think like a good horror film is like 90% sound. So if you miss the boat on that, you're doing something wrong.
Some of the questions that I'm asking, people are probably like, dude, you're an idiot. You should know this. But, I know nothing about making a movie, writing, directing. Like, I have like literally zero background in any of that, So how big is your team, from editing, sound engineers to actors, and like how many people are involved, like with the Cleanup Crew?
So the Cleanup Crew, I try and shoot minimal. Again, we don't have a lot of budget that we're throwing around, so we wear a lot of hats on set, and we try and get it done with as few people as possible. We always have myself as like writer, director, editor, producer. I always bring in it's called a cinematographer, or a DP. Basically, they make it look pretty. So they're the ones that are going to shoot the film, light the film, make it look good. We bring in a supporting person for them. In this case, we had a gaffer and a grip, just to handle sort of the camera movement and the lighting, and the atmospherics of it. And then we have like a sound team. So we have a guy that actually records it, and then two people that sort of mix and master and do things on their end, and then a composer. So we sort of get it done with, I don't know, maybe a dozen people in total.
Wow, man, that's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah, so it's definitely a bit of a headache at times, and it certainly doesn't come without its challenges. But the idea is that we just want to put out good content with the resources that we have. So
yeah, dude, I think it's awesome, and your films look well made. Ava, you got any last questions before I give him the floor for any last things he wants to say?
Not necessarily a question. I just love how passionate you are about it. It's really awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
Not many people we have on the show, like, weirdly enough, are like super passionate, and every now and then we do get someone that is. I love it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity to run my mouth.
Yeah, that's all we ever do, anyways.
That's all he does.
That's all I do. Yeah, exactly. Do you have a website? Is there any last things you want to say? That you might
I mean, if people are listening and they want to jump onto our YouTube channel, it's just Duckpond Productions. You can find Trespassers and Kinks there, and the Cleanup Crew will be dropping sort of over the coming months as well. So certainly worth checking that out. And then, like I said, we're moving into we're actually doing a couple of music videos with Total Buzzkill, who you interviewed sort of the other week. So that'll be coming out shortly. And then we're moving into our first feature film, which is, again, Trespassers, but on a bigger scale. So if anybody wants to follow that, definitely jump onto the YouTube channel and do all the stuff that the influencers want you to do, the thumbs up and the share and whatnot, and it all helps and it goes a long way. So
I know that my wife and myself, I will speak for us, we will watch every single movie that you put out there. We will watch it, guaranteed. I promise you that, man.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. That's great.
Look, man, hey, that's all the time we got for the show, but I do want to thank everyone that listens to The Loud Spot. Jayden, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story with us, man. I found it very interesting and entertaining. So good job with that. Ava, thank you for coming on tonight. And it's always fun having you on the show when you're here to give me shit. I really do like it. And you know that. Hey, and follow us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast. You know, we're audio, video. And I guess that's all we got. Hey, Jayden, stay right there till after the outro song, please. Peace out, rock on, and much
Thanks,
love.
guys.
This is the Loud Spot outro by nothing short of tragic. Is this all talk with no action? No. Is this my thoughts with distraction? No. Is this what I bought that's in fashion? Or is this the Loud Spot with Sebastian? Yes. Does nothing short of tragic have us back again? Yes. Does everything that's good really have to end? Yes. A pin post has a pin show, so to get more episodes, make an order, this is over.
Thanks for watching our video. Don't forget to click the like and share button.
Don't forget to go to our YouTube and subscribe.
If you want to listen to our audio and pick up some cool merch, go to www.theloudspot.net. Peace out, rock on, much love.